Hello, this is Ricardo Montalbán. I'd like to talk to you about Boy Scouts.
The Boy Scouts used to be one of the most respected organizations in America. It was practically a rite of passage. So how did it end up here? Accused of covering up thousands of abuse cases.
Now behind bars.
Drowning in lawsuits.
The Boy Scouts of America filing for bankruptcy.
And declaring bankruptcy.
That there is a crisis in the Boy Scouts.
This is the story of how the Boy Scouts fell apart. The Boy Scouts of America started in 1910, and by the mid-20th century, it was everywhere. Everyone supported the Scouts.
Sometimes it's being able to do something you couldn't do before.
They taught outdoor skills, teamwork, and what they called moral uprightness.
Scouting's a lot more than you think.
By the 1960s, it had millions of members and felt like a cornerstone of American boyhood.
If you'd like to be able to help other people once in a while, Scouting's for you. If you'd like a chance to help your environment once in a while, Scouting's for you. And if you'd like to feel that something's helping you to be a little better guy today than you were yesterday, then Scouting's for you.
Behind the scenes, though, the BSA had a secret.
Secret files.
Perversion files.
The perversion files.
Perversion files.
Perversion files.
Something that they called the Ineligible Volunteer Files, or what later became known as the Perversion Files. It was a hidden list of adult volunteers accused of sexually abusing Scouts, some reports dating all the way back to the 1940s.
That have had troops in which children were likely assaulted or molested by Scout leaders or Scoutmasters.
Instead of calling the police, the BSA would quietly remove the volunteer. And that was it. No charges, no public warning. Just the file and silence.
Don't assume that it happened at a certain time. It's too late. Call the police, call the district attorney.
In a statement, the Boy Scout of America says in certain cases our response to these incidents and our efforts to protect youth were plainly insufficient, inappropriate, and wrong.
It wasn't until the 2010s that that dam broke.
You know, scouting does have some good points. However, right now it's a very dangerous program for young boys.
Survivors began speaking publicly.
I can't tell you how frightening it was to have to go on a Boy Scout camp.
Laws changed, allowing old abuse claims to finally be heard in court.
I cannot express to you how dire this situation is.
And the number of cases? Over 82,000 people came forward.
A staggering 82,000 alleged victims have made sexual abuse claims against the Boy Scouts of America.
The Boy Scouts couldn't handle the legal avalanche, and in 2020, they filed for bankruptcy.
Ahead of today's deadline to come forward, the victims span generations from ages 9 to 95 years old. The Boy Scouts filed for bankruptcy protection before settling these abuse cases.
The impact was massive.
Memberships for the Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts dropped 43% from 2019 to 2020.
Membership dropped. Major sponsors pulled out and local troops disbanded.
A former Boy Scout says it's time for the organization to disband and start over.
People who grew up thinking the Scouts were safe and sacred were suddenly questioning everything.
BSA leaders say at this point, no decisions have been made about a possible restructuring.
The organization scrambled to respond. New safety measures, background checks, training videos, but the damage was already done. Today, the Boy Scouts still exist, but it's not what it was. They've opened the doors to girls, they've tried to modernize, but the shadow of the past hasn't gone anywhere. For a lot of people, the name Boy Scouts now brings up more questions than pride. But something is changing, slowly. Membership is on the rise, youth are finding more opportunities than ever, and the Scouts is rebranding, ready to start again with the next generation of youth. And now they have the protections in place to make sure this doesn't happen again. This wasn't just one mistake for an organization. This was a wake-up call to all youth-serving groups. Practice what you preach.
I don't think it's tainted. I'm excited to see what the new era is going to bring, and the camaraderie that is going to come from all the troops being a part of the same whole.